famous rabbis of yester year now happens to be this week here on the 27th of Tishrei, the Hilula of a famous outreach rabbi here in Israel. His name was Harav Yoram Michael Abergel, Zeche Tzadik Livracha, a great rabbi of his time. He was born in English year 1957 and he passed away in 2015 on the 27th of Tishrei, precisely the 10th of October 2015. He was a great rabbi, he was a מקובל, he was a Kabbalist, he was Ish Chesed, he was a rabbi that did huge amounts of kindness, let's just say, and brought many Choseh B'Tshuva, people returning to Judaism, especially in the ultra-Orthodox community in Israel. Now, he was famous, he was a founder of the Mostot, the foundation of the Kol Rina Rav Halim. Now, Kol Rina stands for, in memory of the name of his mother, Rabbanit Rina Abergel, and Rab Palim is a famous book of the Ben Ish Chai Rav Yosef Chaim Baghdad called Rab Palim. This book itself happens to have been a Shut, Sheilot and Shuvot, question and answers book, which of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Baghdad, also the author of the Ben Ish Chai, respectively, which would bring about various different answers to questions from all over different countries of the world, even from India, let's just say from Eretz Israel, from Vilna, with regards to the code of Jewish law in of itself, respectively. Rabbi Yosef Chaim Baghdad actually was famous Kabbalist and the great rabbi in Iraq, and he lived between the years 1834 and 1909. Now, Rabbi Abergel's main center was in Netivot in Israel. Netivot is a place more in the southern part of Israel, which is spoken about on various occasions. And in his Maseret itself, the organization itself, I think there's 4,000 Talmudim students and Avrechim, learners, adult learners after marriage. Let's just say people that are married would be actually learning there. Now, he was born himself in a moshav called Brosh. This is a moshav in, I think, in the Negev, respectively, more the, let's just say, the Tzafoni Marvi, southern part, let's just say, of Netivot, respectively, and a place I think we've spoken about before. And very, very interesting. I think it was actually founded back in the year 1953, if I'm not mistaken. And there's about 570 people currently living inside this specific moshav in itself, respectively. So maybe we'll explore the history with regards to various different moshavim at a later stage in time. His father's name was Hanania, and his mother's name was Rina Abergel, the family. They had made Aliyah originally from Morocco over there. And I think it was, very, very interesting. So I think we did speak, if I'm not mistaken, about Rabbi Abergel at a previous stage in time. I think we recorded a video. He was one of the first videos we recorded in the city about, 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So, so he would go over there. Very, very interesting. And I think from a large family itself, respectively. Now, to just speak more, I think he would learn Torah in a Bet Sefer, Mamad. This was the Memlechet Dati network in of itself, and very interesting, more religious school system in Israel. And he would learn in Talmud Torah, connected to the network of the education of the Chabad network, of the Reshet Chinuch Chabad, respectively, over there. So that's very interesting. After that, he would learn in a yeshiva that was associated with the Bnei Akiva movement. I think it was called Yeshivat Bnei Akiva, Beit Yehuda Kafar Maimon. This place was, I believe, over there. And it's a very, very interesting. I think it was. Let's just say something about that. I think it's the main Merkaz Yeshivat Bnei Akiva, if I'm not mistaken, and famous place in of itself. I think it was established, I'm not sure the exact year that it was established, possibly around the early 1960s, if I'm not mistaken, under Rav Yosef Stern and Rabbi Shabtai Zilkovitz, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very interesting enough. And it's actually interesting. I did actually meet Rav Shabtai, I think, beforehand. I think he's Rosh Yeshiva, if I'm not mistaken, or integral part of the Yeshiva in Mevaseret Zion, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on that one, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was the Rosh Yeshiva of the, I think this was actually based in Mevaseret Zion, if I'm not mistaken. This Yeshiva was in of itself. It still is running, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So very, very famous place. So Rav Abergel was actually learning in this yeshiva connected to Bnei Akiva at one stage in time. And then afterwards, I think he would learn in the Yeshivat Tiferet Tzvi, which is a yeshiva in Jerusalem. I think founded, obviously, in the 20th century. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it's, I think, just open up and find out some more information on the yeshiva. I think it was actually founded all the way back in the year 1920, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he would spend a window of time over there. It's a more smaller yeshiva, I think, connected to the Lithuanian ultra-Orthodox stream in itself. And very interesting. I think maybe connected to Rabbi Natan Tzvi Finkel, and had many great graduates, let's just say, in of itself, at various different points of time. So that's something that we do have to point out. Okay, so after that, we learn in the Yeshivat HaNegev. I think that was under the auspices of another famous rabbi, Rabbi Yisachar Meir. And לדברי תלמידיו הוא אף עמד בקשר במשך מספר שנים עם הבבא סאלי. So he was very, very close, I believe, to the Baba Sali at that stage in time also, which was absolutely astounding. He was in contact with the Baba Sali. Now, who was Rabbi Yisachar Meir? We've spoken about him on various occasions before here in this series. He actually passed away himself in the year 2010, in the 31st of December. Of that year, he was 83 years of age. He was born in 1927, and he was Rosh Yeshiva of the Yeshivat Negev in Netivot, the author of the Sachar Sachir. I think he was actually born in Germany, if I'm not mistaken, in Hamburg. And he would actually come to Eretz Yisrael, I think, in the year 1938. He was a famous rabbi over there. He would learn, I think, or possibly was very, very much an integral part in Petach Tikva, and with Rabbi Reuben Katz, another famous rabbi at that point in time. He was a rabbi that would learn in Yeshivat Ponevezh, and he had close connections to many people, especially in Casablanca, in Morocco. He was famous, let's just say, he would found, I think, the Yeshiva Gvoa, or Seminary Haredi Lebanot, and was a great rabbi of his time. I think rabbi who's spoken about on various occasions before. He authored 2 works, if I'm not mistaken, and I think he had many great, let's just say, students at various different stages of time. That's something that we also have to point out with regards to Rabbi Yisachar Meir. He's definitely a rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. Okay, yeah, he was very close, I think, with other great rabbis, including the Rishon LeZion's, Rabbi Amar, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, and so on and so forth. So he's a key rabbi that we've got to speak about. He was actually the rabbi of Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, I believe, also. Very interesting. He was another Rishon LeZion. Obviously, Rabbi Yoram Abergel was a talmid of his, of Rabbi Yisachar, Rabbi Aaron Poivo, I believe, was Rosh Yeshiva Marsha Bohonsberg, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Yaakov Horowitz, another famous rabbi itself, respectively. So that's okay. So that's very, very interesting. So let's continue speaking about Rabbi Yoram Abergel over here. So he was a talmid of Rabbi Yisachar Meir, and he was in contact, obviously, with Baba Sali, who we mentioned about before. Baba Sali of his day was a famous head of Jewish court in Tifalat, Rosh Yeshiva, מקובל, great rabbi in Eretz Yisrael, respectively. He was let's just say, or nicknamed the Baba Sali, Rabbi Yisrael Abu Chatzer, respectively. So he'll have a close connection, if I'm not mistaken, to him also. That's something that we must point out over here. Very, very interesting. Okay, so let's continue over here, as we are speaking about Rabbi Yoram Michael Abergel today, as it marks his Hilula this week. He would get married to Rabbanit Geula, I think from the Dadon family, if I'm not mistaken, and they would have 6 children, if I'm not mistaken. After he got married, he would learn in a kollel for married students, of Kollel Abraham. It was actually called the Beit Yisrael, House of Israel over there. I think it was connected, if I'm not mistaken, with the Chabad network in Netivot over there. There would be a Kollel Hora'ah, as they say, they would be teaching various, I think, rabbinot also. I'll say what it says in Hebrew. Kollel Hora'ah b'stidrot v'nisyot ha'adatra Rabbi, I think we've spoken about on various occasions before. The series, he happened to be, I think, Rabbi, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was a Moroccan rabbi. So he lived between 1929 to 2011, if I'm not mistaken, and he was very, very close to other rabbis over there. So Rabbi, I think he was actually a talmid, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Raphael Baruch Toledano, one of the great Moroccan rabbis of Jewish history. Also Rabbi Raphael Abu, who was very close to also another rabbi spoken about on various occasions before, and I think he would actually be a talmid in the famous Ponevezh yeshiva also, and was a rabbi of various different neighborhoods, I think, and had appointments, especially in specific positions, I think, connected to the Ashdod municipality, also in the rabbinic, let's say, activities. And he had various different jobs in Morocco, respectively. And he was also the rabbi, not just of Rabbi Yoram Abergel. He was also the rabbi of Rabbi Shlomo Shlush, Rabbi Avram El Haddad, Rabbi Sadia Arivi, Rabbi Ari Gamliel, Rabbi Tzvi Fedidia, Rabbi Raphael El Karif, Rabbi Shlomo Parsha, and many other great rabbis. Interestingly enough, so that's Rabbi David Barchen. So Rabbi Yoram Abergel will really be learning in a great place at that stage in time. Now, I believe he passed away on Shabbat evening. That was actually at the time period of Parshat Bereshit, the Torah reading of Bereshit, when he sadly passed away over there. We're talking about the 27th of Tishrei, 10th of October, 2015. It was, and I think he did suffer, unfortunately, from health problems before that. Many thousands, let's just say, attended his funeral, the great rabbi's funeral, at that point in time. It was absolutely packed, tens and many tens of thousands, I believe, also. So that's something that we have to point out at that point in time. I think the great rabbis would actually attend the funeral, including Rabbi Shlomo Moshe Amar. I think he was a chief rabbi at one stage of time of Jerusalem, and or he is currently now. I think he was chief rabbi of Israel also, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Rabbi David Yosef, I think Rabbi would attend there, and various other great rabbis, let's just say, at that point in time. So we'll just state it over here. Rabbi Chaim Yosef David, I think, who happens to be his son, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Abergel, who we're going to speak about in due course in the next few minutes, and various other great rabbis. I think Rabbi Chaim Yosef David would fill his position as head of the Mostot, of the Kol Rina, the educational network in of itself, and the Be'er Mayim Chayim, and various other. He gives over, he's a very famous rabbi in Israel, giving over many great Torah classes, many pamphlets, Torah pamphlets, books, it's perpetuated, and millions have benefited from it. He's got a son also, Harav Yisrael Abergel, who we've got to point out also, who's also very famous with pamphlets and really much part of the Mostot in of itself, within regards to various different Shirei Torah, in which we also have to point out. Rabbi Abergel, he did huge amounts of workings, let's just say, during his entire life, within regards to much spreading of Torah, various different Torah classes. As we said before, he was the establisher of the Korinat Rav Pa'alim Institute over there. This was in Netivot, and he really did huge amounts. There was a Reshet HaChinuch, which he opened up, the Be'er Mayim Chayim, and Hakulot Ma'onot Yom. He opened up kindergartens, schools, school foundations for boys. Let's say Bnei Yahu, B'Netivot, Be'er Mayim Chayim in Be'er Sheva, respectively. For example, Beit Sefer Yesodi Lebanot, Yavo Brina. This was a girls' school system, if I'm not mistaken. Beit Yaakov, I would think. Tichon Lebanot, the Siftei Rananot, for example. Yeshiva Ketana, he would open up, called it Tiferet B'chorim. Limud Bereshet Akolim. Various different, many different kollels, if I'm not mistaken, named after him. Reshet Mostot Kolot Gam Et Irgun Chesed, a special kindness organization he would open up, called the Birkat Yosef Polot Tzaddik, if I'm not mistaken, which would, let's say, distribute various different foods to families that actually needed it. I think in 2012 you'd write into huge amounts of chesed, kindness connections. I think the and Mostots of Rabbi Abergel was actually named after Rabbi Yosef, also, as we said before, Rabbi Pa'alim, the author of Ben Shchai, his book, respectively. What's interesting, much more can be said about him. We can just see the grandiose amounts of kiruv he did throughout his time was absolutely second to none. And he had diverse sources, let's just say, of inspiration. I think he was close to Chabad network also. As we mentioned before, he would actually learn in those institutions while he was younger. And the diversity of Rav Abergel really would help him just all throughout various different points in time, especially his shiur Torah classes, which gave over, especially from the morning until all the point of time. Very interesting. So that's something that we have to point out. The Sefer Tanya was a big inspiration for him also. He would be really working the whole entire day within regards to Torah, respectively, and that's something that we also have to point out over here, which is very interesting. So that's just an interesting point, just to point. Okay, friends, let's continue over here. So I think it will give over various different things all throughout his life. He was many people come to him asking him for she'elot, and I think he was actually close with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, if I'm not mistaken. That's another thing that we have to point out. I think he was also connected politically, if I'm not mistaken. He would be a supporter a lot of his life of the Shas political party. That's an ultra-Orthodox Sephardi party over there. But I think at later stage, I think there was 2015 election. There was a party headed by Eli Ishai, and also with the blessing of Rabbi Meir Mezuz, if I'm not mistaken, Rosh Yeshiva of Kisei Rachamim, to actually go through a different, let's say, ultra-Orthodox connected Torah party in 2015 elections. And he was also, I think, part of it, if I'm not mistaken, where, unfortunately, I think they just missed out on the threshold to actually enter the Knesset in himself, but it was very, very close. Now, there's much commemorated in memory of the great Rabbi. First of all, there's tons of kollels, there's magazines, there's publications, so on and so forth. His name is named in streets all over the country of Israel. For example, this name of the road is actually in Ashdod, in Lod, Kiryat Melachi, Kiryat Gat also, and in Sderot, so in various different cities. The Mostot Korina was Hakimu et Morshat Harab Yoram Abergel. There would be the, let's just say, the traditions, Morshat Harab Abergel in of itself, respectively. Various different Torah teachings, let's just say, Hanchat Darko Bekarav HaTzibur V'Yaldei Yisrael, with regards to an entire Torah framework, especially from the young children and so on and so forth. Now, his son Rabbi Yisrael Abergel would set up the Beit Harav Yoram, if I'm not mistaken, in Netivot also. That's also under his, and various different other Torah epicenters, centers, let's just say, in of itself. Merkaz Hatzafa Shel Sifrot V'Shira, various different books of his has been published, and so on and so forth. Let's explore some of the books over here of Rabbi Yoram Abergel. The B'tzor Yoram, for example, which is Shirim on the Sefer of the Tanya, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very interesting enough. The Imrei Noam, which is in the Parshat Shvuah and the Moadei Yisrael, the various different, let's say, Jewish festivals. Kol Rina Shalem, Siddur on the Tefillah, respectively. And that's another one, obviously named after his mother, Rabbanit Rina. His Machzorim, Kol Rina, another very famous one. I think I've seen it also before. It has some of the Psakim from the famous Rabbi Yosef Chaim Baghdad, the Ben Ish Chai, respectively. Also, Machzorim, Geula Yeshua. This is a set of various different books for the Bat Yisrael, let's just say, in of itself. Sfarim Mitzrayah, the various different Torah books he would actually publish, including the Book of Baha'inayim. This was one of them also. I think maybe it was printed before he passed away, but I have to check out. The Katvam Al-Luach Levach. There was Haggadah Shel Pesach B'tzor Yomani. This was Pskei Halacha, let's just say. The Torah Rabbeinu Yoram. This was on the Parashat Teshuvah, weekly Torah portion. Let's say, teaching various different halachot, let's just say, in of Jewish laws. I think this would be actually published through his son, Rabbi Yosef Chaim, or Rabbi Chaim Yosef. Ad Sheva Rabbeinu Yoram. This was another book. But so Yoram Li'Yaldei Yisrael, Ma'amrim Li'Yaldim, more children's book, Torah book in himself. Sefes Mirot L'Shvatot U'Moadim, Meshuchano Shel Avinu. This is another one. Yoram V'Nisa. If I'm not mistaken, the order of the various books on the Shurei Torah, on the Parashat Shvuah Torah weekly portion, I think was actually organized by his son Rabbi Yisrael. The Sefer Mangan al Rav Yoram. This is another important book. Megillat Esther, he writes a perush on it, an expoundation on it. Megillat Shurut also, which we read on the festival of Shavuot, and Haggadah Shel Pesach, also connected very much to Harav Yoram Abergel, respectively, over there. Let's speak a bit about other people he was close to. Descendants of his. Something that we have to point out. Okay, let's first of all speak about his son, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Abergel, another great rabbi, happens to be at the moment, I think, heading the, let's just say, the organization in of itself. And he remember we mentioned also about Rabbi Yisrael, another one of his sons, over here just about 10 minutes ago, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully we'll be able to speak about him in the coming minutes. Over here. Okay, so who is Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Abergel? A lot can be said within regards to him. Over here, I think he was, he's obviously the head of the Bnei Yosef school network, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think he's aligned to them, if I'm not mistaken. Much of it has got an ultra-Orthodox curriculum in his school. And very, very famous rabbi in of itself. I think much has been said within regards to him. He was obviously born in Sivot. I think he's currently 46 years of age, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, he was born in Sivot, as we said before. He would learn in Yeshivat Negev once again. This was when he was younger. Yeshiva, a great ultra-Orthodox yeshiva in itself. He was also part of the Kol Rinat Rapalim network. He would be learning over there with Rav Yoram Abergel, his father, who was speaking about. Appointed the Rav of Beit Knesset and Rosh Kollel, let's just have Netivot, of these various different importances. Now, he was close, I think, to Rabbi Shlomo Moshe. He's close to Rabbi Shlomo Moshe Amar, and various other great rabbis. Rabbi Yisrael Abergel is his brother, who we'll speak about in a minute also, and really continued doing the great amounts of kiruv work, which his father, Rav Yoram, had done, especially through the Kol Rina in of itself, and really attracting all the people across the country, going through the breadth of the country in itself, this mostot, to really, really mitzchazek the people, and really he would be doing huge amounts of kiruv work throughout. That's something that we have to point out. Also, he was involved in the Netivot City Council. He will take on various different importances over there, and yeah, he very much has been an author. Also, his son has. He's authored, I think, many books, including Shut Shabbat Malka. This is actually divided in 10 different parts of the Hilchot Shabbat. The Chalav Tzon, if I'm not mistaken, on Isu Beheta. Yitkaber Ka'ari, this halachot, Hashkamat Baboker, the importance of getting up early in the morning. Tahor Yadayim, Yosef Omet, Silchot on Netzilat Yadayim, Birkat Yosef, halachot on Birkat Tanhenin. That's another important Torah book. Lechem Lesvoa, Hilchot Birkat Mazon, on the grace after meals. Yemei HaPurim, on the Jewish laws of Purim. The Birkat Pesach, laws of Pesach. Also, Torah Rabbeinu Yoram. This is Parshat Shvuah. Various different levels on the various different Jewish laws, let's just say, and conducting within regards to obviously that is named after Rabbi Yoram Abergel, I would assume. Now, another one of Rabbi Yoram Abergel's sons is another famous Rabbi Yisrael Abergel, who I believe was born on the 13th of January in the year 1981. Obviously, very famous, obviously being the son of him. He was also once again obviously born in Netivot. Remember, Rav Yoram Abergel's wife, I think, is Gola, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, why was he called Rabbi Yisrael Abergel? The name Yisrael is the name of Rabbi Yisrael Abu Chatzera, originally the Baba Sali, so he was named after Baba Sali. And he would learn in the Talmud Torah, Torat Chaim, when he was younger, and then once again also in the famous Yeshiva Negev under the auspices of Rabbi Yisachar Meir over there. And I think afterwards, eventually, Yeshivat HaGvoha, Yeshivat HaNegev, and the Eben HaAzal, if I'm not mistaken. I think in 2000, he would get married to Rabbanit Rivka Berdugo, and they would have, I think, 9 children, if I'm not mistaken, presently, I believe, at this age in time. This is what's just using the Wikipedia article over here. After he got married, he would learn inside a kollel, which is called the Rav Pa'alim. That was his father's kollel, and the Kol Rina also, respectively. And he would continue, he would be appointed the Rosh of the kollel, of Rav Birchot, if I'm mistaken, and Or Shina, and the Shomrim Leboker, various different institutions, let's just say, respectively. After, I believe, his father passed away in October 2015, he was Minah Harav Shlomo Moshe Amar, Banav Yisrael B'chaim Yosef K'mamshechei Darko. He, under Rav Shlomo Moshe Amar's bracha, I believe, will actually confirm them that they will continue their father's great work in of itself. He would continue giving over various different shurim all over the country at that point in time, and really, really mitzchazek the masses over there, bringing various different chidushim and so on and so forth. I think he would establish in the year 2017 an amutot called the Me'il Aretz, and come on 2022, he would really even do more, if I'm not mistaken. I say what it says. I think 50 people were working there, if I'm not mistaken. Very interesting enough. He was close with other great rabbis, including Rabbi Mordechai, Baruch Mordechai Ezrahi, who I think sadly passed away in the last year or so, if I'm not mistaken. And he had connection also with his brother, I think, Rabbi Yitzchak Ezrahi, if I'm not mistaken, a Rosh Yeshiva in Mir, Jerusalem, and famous rabbi. I think that's also connected to Degel Torah, if I'm not mistaken. Now, he's done huge amounts of work. Rabbi Yisrael Abergel has had. He's got the Machon called the Rab Brachot, as we said before, where various different of his father's writings, let's just say, has been printed and worked on, which very, very interesting enough. And I think, obviously, being close to Rabbi Shlomo Moshe Amar, he has continued, obviously, the Mosdot of the Rab Palim Kolrina, together with his brother Rabbi Yosef Chaim David, if I'm not mistaken. He would open the Reshet of the Mosdot, Hame'il Aretz, also, with also the group inside his family. And this is based on various different Torah learning centers, Kollalim and Beit Midrashes, also respectively, bringing out also various different Torah books. Kol Abraham, Mikvah Ot, he would open, purification baths, and Beit Knesset, respectively, and various different Torah books in of itself. Very, very interesting. Now, everyone that's joining in at the moment, we're speaking about a famous rabbi, Rabbi Yoram Abergel. Happened 10 years ago. He passed away. And it's going to be his Hilula, his yahrzeit over here on the 27th of Tishrei. Please, everyone subscribe to the channel. That's what I'm asking you just at the moment while you are watching this at the moment, everyone that's joining in. So that's very, very interesting. So it would be really doing important works in itself. And I think he would, there were three various different Kollel Abrahams. He was very much connected to Kollel Yeshivat, Ibani, Kollel Idiyat Torah, and Kollel Chatzot Al-Chatei, respectively. So really doing, and he really help out the families and the needs of the various different Torah learners, Abraham, respectively. And he would give over Torah Shirim all throughout the week. I think there's a radio called Kol Barama, if I'm not mistaken, famous radio station in Israel. So that is very, very interesting. And giving over Shirim, I think, in places, for example, Ashdod on a regular basis, Netivot, and really trying to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the United States of America, various different congregations over there, he'll really be trying to meet Chazek also, respectively. Now, some of his great books of his son, Rabbi Yisrael Abergel, includes Chalab Haaretz. This is various Torah laws on the Code of Jewish Law, Shulchan Aruch, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very interesting enough. And I'm not sure the exact year it was printed in. Then there was Hamir Yisrael, the Sichot Ma'amarim al Parshiot Shvua Mishura, various different teachings with regards to weekly Torah portion. Misilot al Hanefesh, this is on the Torah. This is through the ways of his father, let's just say, which contains, let's say, books, midrashim, and very interesting. I think it will be divided up in as many as 15 volumes, if I'm not mistaken, which is absolutely astounding. Then there's a Shut Mi'irat Enai, the question and answers, Shelot and Tshuvot. This is 22 Tshuvot with regards to Kinyanei HaTorah, the acquisition of Torah, that will be printed along with, I think, some of the books, his book of his father called the Chaye Olam, with this very, very interesting thing. Also with regards to Rabbi Yisrael Abergel, happens to be Rabbi Yoram Abergel's son. Now, he had the star student, also Dan Martzvacha, if I'm not mistaken. He himself was born in the year 1956, and he passed away on the 11th of November in the year 2011. He was also another famous, I think, rabbi in his time, if I'm not mistaken. I think he sadly lost his life, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 2011. If I'm not mistaken. So that was, by mistake, I think, at the point in time while I think he was in the Israeli army, if I'm not mistaken. He was actually a rabbi from Paris, if I'm not mistaken, that would actually move at the age of 11 years old to Eretz Israel, and would learn in Yeshivat Har Etzion in Alon Shvut, a place we visited on this channel also, and would take on various different other important undertakings all throughout, and would be learning, I think, teaching in various yeshivot all throughout his life. And very, very interesting. Another famous rabbi, let's just say, of yesterday. But anyway, we're speaking here about Rabbi Yoram Abergel, a famous rabbi of his time. It's been 10 years since a great rabbi has passed away, and he had many, many thousands of rabbis and students. He actually that actually came through him, and still, modern day, he's still very much alive in the sense that with the amount of Torah works he's doing, and so on and so forth, that's been perpetuated in his memory. He was really a Torah giant, respectively. And he's found the Be'emayim Haim. I think they've got a website that's connected to him, obviously. And Be'emayim, it's called the be'emayim.org, if I'm not mistaken. It's an educational network established, I think it was actually established in the year 1999, obviously promoting working in the fields of Judaism, education, and especially on high level of Torah practice, respectively. And very interesting. I think just to speak a bit about the Be'er Haim organization itself, I think it's based in the Tivot. It's, let's say, a huge center, let's just say, addressing the needs of the ultra-Orthodox quality education of highest quality for family, regardless even of its economic situation. So they don't prejudice on, I think currently they have 2 daycare centers, 18 kindergartens, 3 elementary schools, a school that operates a special education department, a girls' high school, a small yeshiva, a girls' seminary, and I think they have as many as 1,900 students, even currently, boys and girls, all over the south, are provided with much Torah education to the highest levels. So that's very interesting. The great work that he's doing. And I think the Be'er Mayim Hayim organization do many different projects, let's just say. We have Empowering Transitions program, for example, social education. There's a junior yeshiva even. The Psiot Institute, a small step leading to big successful, let's just say, various different steps in of itself. So huge amounts of work Rabbi Yoram Abergel has done, which is absolutely phenomenal, that we also have to point out over here. So this is very interesting, and obviously his diversity and the breadth of greatness of all different let's just say organizations he was involved with obviously did tremendously benefit him at that stage in time. And I think his funeral, the procession actually did take place in the Tzvot, if I'm not mistaken. And you could say he was one of the leading figures among Sephardic Haredim, ultra-Orthodox community, especially in the yeshiva and kollel world. Without a doubt, that's something else that we have to point out about Rabbi Yoram Abergel. And so much has been said about him and reported over about him. And just a very famous rabbi of his time. I recommend everyone to learn more within regards to him and his brilliance. And his rabbi we've spoken about on many occasions before here on this channel with the amount of work he did. You'll see his picture in many different places. That's something that we have to point out. Rabbi Yisrael Abergel obviously took over him, and also his brother, also the great Talmud Chacham. There's actually, I think the son actually set up the Hameir La'aretz, an institute that is dedicated to spreading the various teachings of his father, as we know today, respectively, various different shirim in of itself, and various different Torah classes giving about, and it's very famous, especially the books, the 21-volume set of the Tanya, I think, famously enough, the Machzorim, the works in the Parshat, and the Hashavua, and the Zohar, and really did great rabbis. I think they're shipped to as many as 140 countries, these Torah books and teachings of Rabbi Yoram Abergel, if I'm not mistaken. And many people are translating the shirim into various different other languages. That's something else that we have to point out with regards to the brilliance of the Torah that had actually came about. So he passed away on a Shabbat, I think it was on the 27th of Tishrei. And he was very close also to the Rabbi and of Chabad, respectively. And he visited especially 770, I think, when he would visit America. We spoke about that before on various occasions before. And it was just a famous rabbi of some, Rabbi Yoram Abergel over here. So friends, this was a special edition. It happens to be his Hilula over here this week. And if you descend from any of the famous rabbis we are speaking about, please send me an email over here. I would love to hear more information. Now friends, we're a community here. We're learning about great rabbis of yesteryear. Today we happen to be speaking about Rabbi Yoram Michael Abergel, who was a great rabbi of his time. But also, we're not just speaking about let's just say rabbis that were currently living in Israel. We're looking also at the history of rabbis that might have lived in various other countries, including various Ottoman places, North Africa, Asia, for example, even Ethiopia, we're trying to get a whole breadth, Spanish rabbis, we're trying to get a breadth of what the greatness and brilliance of the various different rabbis that there were of that specific time. And this was something that's very, very important for us here inside this series over here. We've already spoken about 1,350 approximately great chachamim of yesteryear, so I recommend everyone to watch the previous videos that we've recorded already here inside the series. We're a community here. We're nearing 7,500 subscribers, so please, friends, subscribe to the channel now and join our community. And much has been said just the great work that we're doing. We are also currently at the moment doing tours all over Israel. We are traveling Israel respectively, and especially the different let's just say biblical sites, archaeology we are looking at. We're just really trying to explore everywhere and get like a whole feel of Eretz Israel. That's another project that we're working on. Another project is that we're working at the moment with a great Jewish personality or rabbinic personality here of modern age here inside the series. And they give over bursts of wisdom, let's just say, for 2 minutes each day, something approximately of that specific realm. So that's in the project that we're working on. We also record videos on the Parshat Hashvuot, weekly Torah portion on the Hebrew month, and many biography videos. Another thing that we're doing at the moment is we are recording videos that are connected to the history of various different countries we're trying to speak about. We're trying to speak about countries that maybe many people will not necessarily speak about so much. Over here, we've already spoken about Indonesia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kosovo. We spoke about Malta, various countries that maybe don't get mentioning that they deserve on various other occasions at times. So that's very, very interesting over here. And we're doing so much more here on this channel. So please, everyone, I'm urging, please subscribe to the channel and join our community, and you won't regret it over here. We spoke about Rabbi Yoram Abergel. It's going to be his Hilula over here this week, so wishing you all well, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom and Mavrach, because I'm recording this just before the Torah reading of, naturally we're coming inside Sefer Bereshit, Parshat Bereshit respectively, and want to wish you all a phenomenal Shabbat, and enjoy. And friends, please join our community at the moment. We're nearing 7,500 subscribers, so please subscribe now. I'm wishing you all well. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom. Wishing you well.